Okay, round one, we're on the draw. Certainly not keeping that hand. All right, well, turn two Old Man of the Sea. Not the worst start ever. Although, I actually have to draw a card to exile to make it work, so perhaps this hand's not that good. Although we do have our, I guess we have our red mana with the Bloodstained Mire, so we at least have all of our colors. And I might hold off on this. If I find a red, then I at least have double black for Grave Titan at some point. Although Pyromancer's pretty good incentive to play that on turn two. Let's just open it up with a island first. Wall of Omens. We're playing against blue-white control. That should be interesting. Ooh. I definitely want to resolve that. Alright, well. Let's, if we can resolve Ashiok against my opponent, I'm going to feel pretty good. So let's get our, I guess we don't need the Steam Vents, although we don't have the third blue for Teferi. Wait a second. Oh, I can play Ashiok this turn. I should probably do that. Well, in that case, I maybe screwed up. Should have played the Swamp. Yeah, I think playing Ashiok this turn against blue-white control is going to be necessary, so I think I'm just going to accept the screw up. We'll Chrome Mox for and get rid of the Old Man of the Sea, even though it can steal Wall of Omens, I guess. And we'll cast our Ashiok. Hope he doesn't have Force Will, which he does not, so exile my opponent's library. We get 3 lands off the top. Well, not the best Ashiok mill, but... So now I've put myself in a place where I can't cast Young Pyromancer, which is certainly not good. And my opponent, well, he missed his land drop. I'd say that's pretty beneficial. So exile again. Hitting Journey, Necromancy, and Elspeth. All right, well, he would have missed 3 land drops, but it's okay. Ooh, Magpie resolves. That's good news. If we can start drawing off that, that'll be good. Oh, Ashiok helped him find his 3rd land. Lingering Souls. Well, that's actually not the worst. Ooh, Toweran's not bad either. I guess we actually swing with Magpie first. See if he blocks. Be funny if my opponent's deck had no creatures. Alright, so he's just... Still have yet to hit 1 creature. So I assume my opponent's deck has no creatures in it. Is that what a safe assumption should be? Guess we'll drop a Talrand. Opponent has a grip of cards. No black mana for flashback on Lingering Souls yet. Gonna attack Ashiok. Yeah, guess so. Ooh, I'd say Dissipate's a pretty awesome one to get. So let's swing in with the Magpie, I guess. Draw our card. There's our red mana. That's kind of nice too. So our opponent is a mana away from Supreme Verdict, which makes me not want to play Pyromancer yet. Let's see if we can't find a creature. There we go. There's a creature. Very nice. Let's play Steam Vents tapped and then pass. This way, if my opponent does Supreme Verdict, I can at least follow up with Pyromancer and leave up Dissipate. Continuing to attack Ashiok. Just missing land drops here. So our opponent's Esper control, which I feel we have a pretty decent matchup against. I'm just going to continue to exile my opponent's deck and glean as much information as I can, especially considering I have protection for Ashiok. Water, so 3 more lands off the top, very nice. I guess we swing now. The Magpie, draw another card. Just a couple lands, all right. 4 of our 5 black mana. In fact, all 5. We've seen all 5 of our black mana in the top 15. That is pretty awkward. I guess next turn I can use Ashiok Ultimate to get rid of my opponent's hand and whatever. See if we got the Verdict. Angelic Destiny. I think I'm just going to dissipate that. Gets us a dude. All right. It's pretty nice. Ooh, Force Spike. Yeah, it's not bad when our opponent's in this position too. So let's swing with Magpie. I'm leaving the Drake back as protection. Phoenix is not a bad draw, but I can't cast it. So I could Ashiok Ultimate. Which I'm pretty tempted to do. Puts my opponent in top deck mode with no board and 4 mana. I think I'm going to do it. So, got rid of Deluge, Visions, Dig Through Time. Wait, that's not right. Did not? Well, that's weird. I don't know where it put it. But let's put out the Phoenix, I guess. Morphed. And we'll pass. So now at least if my opponent has removal for Drake, I can Force Spike it, and even if it doesn't counter it, I get another blocker, so Ashiok is safe. Oh, I see. I exiled all these. I was like, what did he have? It was all these creatures. It's like all of my opponent's creatures in his deck was in his hand. Feel like I actually like Tech Edge in this match, but it's probably not necessarily the case. All right. Well, Thasa's straight up active at this point, so let's just get her out there and continue milling my opponent. 3 more lands. Dismiss. Pretty nice. I'll let that resolve. Top is not going to win him the game. So some pretty good blue-white control cards out of my opponent. No counter spells, though. In fact, quite literally 0 that we've seen. And none in the deck to be seen either. Good removal. Good Planeswalker. So it's like we got all the counter spells. I'm really in no rush to kill him with Thassa. I can't imagine any way that my opponent can come back into this. I mean, I'm behind on the clock, I guess, but getting every single piece of information out of my opponent's deck seems really beneficial at the moment. I mean, yeah, granted, I can make my Thassa and something else unblockable, but I just feel like it's irrelevant. Could kill my opponent with Electrolyze, but I'm not going to. I'd rather, like I said, just get every piece of information out of my opponent's deck as possible. Angel of Serenity in there too. That's interesting. That's fine. Blade Splicer is going to resolve. All right. So now we'll just exile the rest of our opponent's deck and pass the turn at this point. And he still loses because even if once he draws the card from Sensei's Divining Top, I think he just loses the game. So our opponent does have a counterspell. I'm actually wrong. Our opponent has 1 counterspell. Let's just win. Now that I've seen my opponent's entire deck. Let's just get in there. All right, so my opponent got mana screwed and we got a victory. Our opponent has a lot of removal, board wipes. We see Elspeth, 2 Elspeths, good card draw, board wipe, like multiple board wipes, Wrath of God. Finishers include Angel of Serenity, Precursor, Archangel of Doom, Baneslayer, Cloud Goat Ranger, Dungeon Geist, all very good big threats that are going to be tough to deal with. Almost want a Slaughter Pact for those. I could see that being important. Old Man of the Sea does not seem so good in this matchup, but double devotion towards both of our gods does, I guess. But what am I stealing? Lingering Souls tokens? Seems pretty bad. Bonfire. Actually, Bonfire might be a pretty important card late game, especially since my opponent doesn't have counters, as a way to get rid of all those crazy angels. Slaughter Pact seems like a pretty good one too, though. I'm going to need some removal. Maybe I do Dreadbore instead, but it's more color intensive. No, it deals with Planeswalkers too. I think I actually need the Dreadbore. So let's cut the Old Man of the Sea. Yes, we're lowering our devotion count, but that game was all Ashiok anyway. Anything else I would like to cut? What's our spell count at for Delver or Pyromancer or Talrand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10's not bad. Student can copy my opponent's angels. I guess that's pretty good too. Do I want to do like late game Profane Command stuff or Slaughter Pact? Maybe late game Slaughter or late game Profane Command plan is better. use a bunch of mana that he can't counter to kill something and get one of my guys back from board wipe. Maybe. Or get some evasion. I'm not exactly sure. I think we maybe just try the Dreadbore to start it off. Don't really have to alter the mana base for it either. Alright, let's try this. Yeah, we're going to keep it. I mean, turn 1 Delver, right? And in this case, I think we are going to be punishing our life total quite a bit. Oh, well, maybe not. Now we can just play it off island, get a Delver out there. Hoping to flip it ASAP. No revelation of that. Can you use the Tarn? Yeah, I think we use the Tarn to find the steam vents. Take the damage. I don't think our life total is too relevant here. All right, well, if I can do the dissipate, I'm in good shape. Not revealing a mountain, however. All right, so guess we drop the mountain, swing for 3, leave up dissipate and electrolyze. Alchemy is gonna resolve. I mean, granted, he gets to find a Wrath effect, but then on his turn he has to cast the Wrath effect, and then I can dissipate it. I mean, he gets the flashback eventually on Alchemy too. I just really don't like the idea of tapping out on my turn. My opponent basically has to find something to deal with this board. We did not see a Supreme Verdict in the deck, so I should theoretically be able to counter anything he plays here. Yeah, I mean, I can counter that too. I almost would prefer to Dreadbore it, but then I can't leave up Dissipate anyway, so guess I will Dissipate. Really hoping to flip Delver here. Don't have our 3rd blue mana for that just yet, but all right. So play the Mire, get in, and pass. I assume we're getting Wrath now, but we had ample opportunity to find something exciting here and just didn't, so probably going to allow a Wrath. Although if it's an Angel, wow, all right, well, Angel's actually like the least of our worries. So I can just Dreadbore that. Kind of want to electrolyze here too. Really gets us closer. Almost want to crack the Mire first to deck thin. Get our black mana. Deal some damage. There's a Grave Titan. Oh man. That would have been a good time to flip. Temple. What do we got on top? Chrome Mox. Don't really need that anymore. So Dreadbore. Another Pyromancer token. Get in. Do I want a Sakashima's student? Don't think so. We are at Teferi mana now. Not quite at Grave Titan mana just yet. Gideon. Alright, well, Gideon's not the worst. So I just have to attack Gids now. If I can flip, I can kill it. Really hoping I flip here. Gotta flip eventually, right? Jeez. I don't know how we're not flipping here. Pretty shocked we have not flipped yet. And I can't kill Gids. Jeez. Alright. Way too many opportunities to flip Delver that have not gone over well. Alright. So digging for the Wrath effect is my guess. Yeah. Wish I had a way to shuffle my opponent's library, but I don't. So Delver has been complete and utter turd, which is really sad because we have like 9 ways to... That's really surprising. So digging up the Wrath effect has got to be what it is. Still have to devote all my attacks to get in. What an amazing card. Not playing Teferi into a Wrath effect. It's not going to go over well. Come on, flip. Still can't flip? That is just... Alright, that's just absurd. That is just absurd. So I have to attack everything with Gids. Is that right? Jeez. That is not good. Well, I guess if anything good is coming from this, my opponent's going to tap a lot of mana to Wrath, and then I can play Teferi afterwards. Pretty unhappy with being unable to flip Delver that entire game. We certainly have enough ways to flip it. There is not a shortage of ways to flip it in this deck. That is not the case at all. Ashiok would be great, because then I could just screw over that Liliana plan. The question is, do I want to kill Liliana? Not exactly sure I do. Since I can get my opponent to 2. Although I can't burn my opponent outright. Oh, I guess, no, I can. Bonfire and Ash Cloud. Mana Tithe. Well, I'll pay that. Because Mana Tithe does not matter. No cards left in my opponent's hand. Card on top of the deck, of course. Probably like a Baneslayer Angel is my guess. Which kind of makes me want to... The interesting thing is I can flash out Grave Titan and Sakashima's student, but I guess we just attack with... Guess we attack Liliana. Just disable that part of the deck. And then flash out a Grave Titan, but I can't flash out a Grave Titan if my opponent found another Wrath effect. So if it's a Baneslayer Angel, I can just flash out Grave Titan anyway and be fine. Maybe it's Elspeth. Could see that too. It's a Delve card. Dig Through Time. Okay. So Dig Through Time looking for Baneslayer Angel is going to be my assumption. Which we can still attack with Grave Titan into and force a block on. So if it's a Baneslayer my opponent plays here, I'm trying to think what I get to do. I get to play Grave Titan into my opponent's turn. Don't get to Student. But can I attack with everything, including the Teferi, into the Baneslayer? Let's say a Baneslayer blocks Teferi. First strike kills, it goes to 10. My opponent still takes 10 from Titan and zombies, so dies. Which means my opponent is actually forced to block the Grave Titan with the Baneslayer Angel, if it is in fact Baneslayer Angel. And Grave Titan's not a zombie, oddly enough. But not that that's important anyway. I guess the protections on Baneslayer Angel are demons and dragons. Okay, had my second disconnect here, but my opponent also disconnected. So I would guess there's some sort of huge disconnect thing going on. It looked like a couple other people disconnected during the draft too, so I don't know what to say about that, but I guess we'll wait for our opponent to return. Okay, opponent's back and is playing Necromancy, targeting... Oh, it has to enter the battlefield first? Yeah. So on to any... Well, we don't have exciting ones, so I'm assuming it's got to be Archangel of Thune, which we're still going to be able to attack into for lethal, I believe. But we don't know what our opponent's second card is. Could be like a Swords of Plowshare or something. So Archangel of Thune is the choice. We're going to slam out a Grave Titan. Opponent is basically F6'd, so that's pretty good. So now we just get to swing with everything, and it's absolutely lethal. We're going to be one short. Well, in that case, it's ninjutsu out this thing, returning zombie, because our opponent can't cast any instants or sorceries while this is out. So we'll dump the zombie to get another Grave Titan. Two more tokens. And absolutely lethal damage. All right, got there. So beat the Esper control list. They got mana screwed in game 1. Game 2, just a really slow start to our pretty good start, even though we never managed to flip a Delver. Did I say there were 9 spells too? Let me do a final count just to verify. 1, 2. We actually had the extra one from Dreadbore, so one more in addition to what we have here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we had 10. We couldn't flip it. That's how many flips? That was like 5 turns of no flip too. That's pretty crazy. But I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. Delver's not like insane in this format. But all right. Miraculously got to win round 1. So we'll see you round 2.